This episode of Inside Running is sponsored by Peaks and Trails, an annual premier trail running event to be held in Dunkeld at the foot of the Grampians on the 12th and 13th of August.
And Julian, this year they've introduced a new category, the Peaks and Trails Champion, which takes place over 2 days. The fastest combined time for the Mud Dad Jug Challenge and AGL 50-kilometre trail. Along with great prizes, this event is one to add to your calendar.
Welcome to episode number 288 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. Looking forward to talking to running with Croaks and Moose for the next hour or so. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you got us in your ears, heading out for a run. We can keep you a bit of company. Welcome to my co-host, Julian Spence, down in Anglesea. Has not run a step, I don't think, since last time we spoke. How are you going, Moose? How's the back?
The back's better than it was last week when we sat down and had a chat, but it's still not ready to be run on yet, which is starting to frustrate me. First few days, I kind of it's such an acute pain that I don't even consider running. But as soon as I start considering running, like I get close enough, that's when I start getting frustrated that I can't. So I'm at that point now. I got some treatment today. I'm going to get some treatment on Wednesday, and I'll consider having a jog after that, only if it feels right.
Yeah. Be a while since you haven't run at all for a week, wouldn't it? Probably pre-surgery?
Yeah, it would have been that. No, it wasn't. Sorry, I had that bone sort of stress in my knee that time last year, in March last year. So, but since then, it's been about a year over a year. But yeah, I've been going pretty well.
My other co-host, Brad Croker in Canberra, was back racing yesterday. Looking forward to hearing the recap about that performance at the Sydney 10k. Welcome to episode number 288, Croaks.
Thanks, Brady. Moose, what's the diagnosis of the back?
Well, it's the same. So I don't really get a diagnosis because I've had all the images and that done in the past, and it just comes back with degeneration, and that means that the joint that is obviously sort of degenerative, and the disc can pinch, and as soon as I get a little pinch on the disc, it just throws my entire lower back, glutes, and my thoracic this time round into spasm. So I can't, my muscles just lock up. It's terrible. And I talked today about getting a more imaging done, and the osteo, who's a really good osteo, she said, look, if it said degeneration last time, chances are that's exactly what I'll say again, because the actual symptoms are very similar. And I know, you guys have heard me talk about this 15 times, I reckon, over the last 4 years or so. It just comes, and I have to get through it, and then I'm normally okay.
What do you tell us about your week then? If you weren't running, was it that bad that you couldn't go to work, or what did you do? I know you were really into that royal stuff, like the coronation over the weekend, so it would have been a good weekend for you on the couch, but what else you been doing? Yeah,
so Monday, I did this Monday morning, and then we opened our store. So it was it's a little bit anticlimactic because I was there ready to serve customers and everything, and then I was fucking just in pain, bent over the whole time. I couldn't do anything. And it was like that all week. So I went to work every day. I wasn't very mobile, and a lot of the time it was just sort of chiming in here and there. I couldn't run on it. I couldn't walk on it. But I managed to get on the e-bike a couple of times just to take the dog for a run. And I got into every morning and every night I'd go out for 15 minutes on the e-bike just with the dog, just running next to me. So that was nice to get out, but it's not the same. Went for a Blue Doctor a couple of times. That was nice. It was actually quite good weather earlier in the week. So, yeah, got down to the beach in the mornings. It's a nice way to start the day. But, fuck, I missed running now. It's been enough days that I'm like starting to get pissed off.
Yeah, okay. Well, you got anything else to add? Tell us something that's happened. You can't weekly recap like that. Have you read a good book? Watched a good movie? Tell me something. Just give me some takeaway for the week.
Okay. So last night, our TV's been broken, so I can't even give you much. But I put on Netflix and I watched the first maybe 45 minutes of a doco called The Alpinist. It's about a crazy mountain climber. So at the start, they talk about how he like leaves school and he goes and hangs out as a bit of they call him like a climbing bum or a climbing dirt bag. And they all just do it for the love of it. They don't care about money. They don't care about like social media. They don't do it for competition. And it just sounds like runners who just want to go somewhere and don't want any distraction and just want to get up and go running, and they don't care who sees them, and they just want to do super high volume sort of training. It sounds exactly like the culture of these rock climbers. And everyone looks at them and goes, oh, you're just super nerdy dudes. And the ladies there are the same, super nerdy. So it just reminded me a lot of running until they started climbing the rocks without ropes on. And they're like absolute badasses because runners don't take any risk whatsoever. But it's good doco. Get onto it.
Have you watched Free Solo?
Yeah, I have.
Is it similar to that?
So Alex Honnold is actually in there a lot. But he talks about how crazy this guy is. Because
hasn't he got a new one coming out as well, doco?
Not sure.
I think so. Maybe.
But yeah, this guy is does ice climbing. So not just up the rock walls. He goes places where there's all ice over the rock and he has to climb up on that. And watching it makes me sweat.
Yeah.
Watching the footage of it.
And the thing is, you watch it and you know he's going to be okay because they've released a documentary and he's done all the promo stuff, but you still get like hairs raised on your arms and like a few sweats going on when you're watching it.
You kind of don't know if he's going to. I don't know.
Well, maybe that guy. When I'm talking about Free Solo, I knew he was a big. I'd heard him on podcasts promoting it and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, he's still alive at least.
Yeah. But this guy, because I know nothing about it, I don't know the story. I don't know what's going to happen. So there is some like anticipation. He's so crazy that he doesn't. So he does this thing called free soloing. So soloing and solo without people around. And he's got this massive camera crew that are trying to make a movie about him or a film, but he doesn't count the climb as a true solo if they're there even filming him. So he goes off and does all these crazy first ascents of like peaks in the middle of nowhere, and he doesn't invite the camera crew. He just goes full ghost mode. And so they get in, the camera crew are there getting these updates that he's done all this crazy stuff, and they're not even getting any footage of it because he won't let them come. Because he gives no fucks about anything. All he wants to do is climb. He's got probably a little bit of the autism about him, but he's just a true climbing dirtbag, I guess they call him.
Okay, let's get on to some running, Croaks. Take us through Monday through to Sunday of race week.
Before we do that, Brady, I thought this was quite entertaining. Curtis Mack wrote into our Instagram page. So remember last week when Julian was giving a shout out to the Norwegian who works at the running shop and looked a bit hipster in his overalls?
Yeah.
And then I think we shared the walking by the running company Geelong photo of you and Bree in your denim top.
Double denim, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's not. I've got it in front of me. It's not double denim, but we'll just, it's better if it's double denim. So then this guy writes in, Curtis Mack, wasn't Moose giving it to that Scandinavian Patreon supporter for looking too much of a hipster?
Mate, I had bloody shorts and a denim shirt on.
Bree had a matching one too, didn't she?
She had a matching top.
Yeah, I thought you were going to a dress-up party or something looking like that.
You go to Bunnings and you don't laugh at them for wearing the same uniform?
I just thought, no, I thought you'd be a bit more like active wear.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a walking store.
They're trying to separate themselves from that running culture, I reckon, Croaks.
Yeah, okay.
A bit more upmarket.
I thought it was quite entertaining.
Yeah, no, I like the denim. You don't like the denim?
That Swiss guy is like a legit runner too. Like, he's just
214 man?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Nah, he's not a 214 man.
I think he is. He's like... I did just try to type into Google Swiss Jesus runner, but nothing came up, just pictures of Jesus Christ. But I'll find his PBs by the end of the show. He's legit. I think he's 214, 215, 28.30.
Well, it's one or the other, mate.
True.
He's legit if he's 214.
True. Anyway, let's give Croaks the mic now, Moose. Let's hear about race week.
Yeah. All right, so I had an interesting week. I did some really smart things and did some really dumb things, and then had a race at the end of it. So Monday morning, I ran before work, so I did an hour. It was pretty wet here and drizzly, and I haven't done many morning runs from home, and I felt like just garbage for the first like 4 or 5K of this, and it was predominantly running downhill from home, and I normally get rolling on my runs, and like I was 430s, 420s, like running down a hill, but just obviously not sort of loose enough. Like, I hadn't been out of bed for long enough. And it wasn't until maybe 5K or 6K that I actually started to feel better, and probably felt better coming home back up the hill. So I did an hour at 4:16s, but the last couple of K of it, I was just starting to feel my tib ant tendon just starting to like become a little bit niggly. And I've got really good at managing this over the years, because back in like 2007 when I was training with Vic Telford's group, like I ran through this for maybe a week and then went to Sydney and raced the cross-country relays up there, popped some anti-inflams before the race because I was meant to run first leg, and I warmed up and I could hardly run, and I said to the guys, look, I'll just go last leg, and if we don't have to run hard or we're out of a medal, then I basically just won't run, but if we're a medal chance, then I'll run hard. And I ended up running hard, but I was like, I could hardly drive the car home, like on the accelerator, lifting my foot up and down. So I had like a month off after that. And from that time on, I've always like managed it. So as soon as I get it, I generally, if I could take one day off, I ice, anti-inflam, massage and stretch. I only have to miss one day and I'm good to go. But it wasn't ideal going into race week. So that was Monday. Went to work that day, and the school cross country's coming up, so they made me like walk the school cross country course, and I'm sort of like trying to get around it without sort of flaring up my tendon too much. So then Tuesday, I didn't actually go to work on Tuesday, largely because I just didn't want a day of walking around the cross country course, and I went out to training that night to my group, and I didn't do the session. I just took the day off, but we just went out and watched them train. And I said to them, because most of them were racing in Sydney, said, you've trained really hard sort of week in, week out. So these race weeks are an opportunity to sort of enjoy not having to train hard in a way, like, get through the session feeling like it's almost not a session. And they were all really sensible with that. So then Wednesday, I went out to Mulligan's. It started to feel pretty good by this stage, but you're just never sure whether it's going to sort of flare up once you start running. But this went really well. I did 45 minutes at 4:11s. Early on, like there was a little bit of awareness, but when I finished the run and sort of touched the tendon, like it wasn't tender at all. So I'm like, then that's generally a pretty good sign for me. So I thought, all right, dodged a bullet here. So then, because I didn't do the taper session on the Tuesday, I thought I'll go and do this on the Thursday. And so the session was like 5 2-minute reps and 5 45-second reps, a minute between the reps, and I took sort of 2.5 minutes between the sets. I went out to the horse track, which is like this, it's like a gravel access road, I suppose, for ambulances and stuff. And like it's good place for sessions, but in hindsight, I probably should have just done this on a flat bike path somewhere. It's just probably easier to replicate sort of the race a little bit. And yeah, like I fucked this up. Like I just got way too carried away, more so in the 45-second reps. So for the 2-minute reps, I went 3 minutes, 2:58, 2:57, 2:56, 2:57, which like they felt okay. Like I'm like, I definitely couldn't hold it for like 10K. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not 10K pace. And then I almost didn't do the 45-second reps because I'm like, that's probably enough. It's Thursday, race is Sunday morning. But I did do them. And, there's like a lag in the GPS. Like you start off and you look down even after like 20 seconds and it's like 3 minutes or, 2:55. And I'm like, oh, shit, am I going that slow? So I probably put in a little bit more effort. And then as it turns out, I end up sort of running 2:45k pace for these 45-second reps, which, there's no need to do that. And then my calf, it didn't twinge, but I just had this calf tightness at the end of the session. And I'm like, what a fucking idiot. Like the last thing you should be doing is pulling up sore from a taper session. So I was really pissed off at myself. And then Friday ran 50 minutes, 4:05k pace. I had no calf pain whatsoever. It was just one of those ones where if you haven't, if you're sitting on the couch or whatever and you sort of lift your foot up and down, you can feel some tightness in the calf. And if you touch it, it's quite tender. So when was it? Friday night, I didn't sleep very well at all because I'm thinking to myself, it's like, is this race going to push? Am I going to tear my calf doing this race? Because that's how calf tears happen, I guess. Your calf's tight and you can get away with maybe jogging on it, but then you go into a race effort and it tears. So I didn't sleep very, very well on the Friday night and I was just really pissed off at myself. Went out Saturday morning, just one lap of mulligans, 8.5k at 4:16s. Once again, no calf pain while I was running. It's just tight and sort of awareness when I wasn't running. I didn't bother I would normally do some strides the day before a race, but I just didn't bother because I'm like, no, it's not worth it. Then drove up to Sydney. So we had a good little group. So I think I reckon I had over 10 athletes in total running, and there was 6 of us from Canberra that went up in 2 cars, and we booked a couple of rooms at a motel in Bankstown. So left here about lunchtime, got up there late arvo, went out for dinner. And then that brought us to race day. So even I slept well that night, but even then I'm thinking if I do strides and I feel my calf, I'm not going to do the race because I want to get to Gold Coast. I want to do that pacing, and I've just been enjoying running so much the first part of the year, feeling good. And I'm the last thing I want to do is risk hurting myself. So warmed up, did my strides. I didn't feel any calf pain or awareness whatsoever. And I figured racing in something like the Alpha Flyers, probably doesn't load up the carbs as much as traditional racing flats. So that was a positive. And the race itself, I didn't have a great day. So Gum went and I looked down after about a kilometre and I was 3:05, 3:06. I'm like, yep, well, that's probably around the pace that, I should go out at. It doesn't feel easy, but maybe I'll feel better the longer the race goes. And then we turned the corner for the long sort of straight section and I look ahead and there's this massive pack of 20 guys, Ed Goddard and Josh Johnson were off the front, and then this massive pack. And I was just I sort of started to get a bit negative. I'm just fuck, I'm so old now. A few years ago, I was in that pack, and here I am now, just so far off the back. We made it to the turnaround point, which is probably 2.5k, and I sort of wasn't paying attention, and I was in the Alpha Flies, and we went around the U-turn, and I was at the front of this little pack, and I was by the time we'd gone around the turn, I was at the back of the pack. It was just the slowest turn ever. We then got through 3k, and I looked at my clock on my watch, and I was 9, I don't know, 9:18, and I'm I just went, I'm not kicking down off this today, which best case scenario is I'm not going to break 31 today. And I was at the front of the pack, and if you have a look at, I don't know if you got my splits open, Brady, but
I've got 'em.
So then the 4th K, I pretty much just threw the anchors out because I just got so negative. And I'm you know what, I grind training on my own all the time. I'm at a race now. I'm not fucking doing this for another 7K. So I basically just slowed down, sat in the pack, And then there was some bloke at about that point, just before we went through 3Ks, like, come on, guys, help me get under 31 minutes. Oh, I thought that's a bit random. Anyway, we go around the stadium at about 5K, and that bloke had sort of gone off the front a little bit. But he was cutting, like, he was just, like, missing all the witches' hats, like cutting the corners. So I yelled out at him. He was about, like, 40 metres in front, basically telling him to go around it. And it sort of, if anything, it probably just gave me a bit of adrenaline, which I just hadn't had at that point. And I sort of left the little group that we were in, and I picked it up again a little bit. And then after about a kilometre, I'm like, well, no, I should have just stayed in that pack. I'm not feeling that good. And then, I pretty much just didn't look at the clock after that point. I thought I was going to, like, just slow down massively. But I just sort of, grinded it out, ran 31:20. Only really, like, I sprinted right at the end, but I just didn't care, like, if somebody went past me. But the positive was that I think based on the splits, like, a pretty much even split at the whole race, which I just felt like I had one gear, but I could just keep going, even though, it wasn't comfortable. But I certainly I didn't slow down. Like, I think my last 3 or 4K were all pretty much identical K splits in a way. So, I ran like 31:24, I think it was, for 20th place. It's probably the first race I've done in a long time where I'll sort of walk away from it just going, that was a bit sort of below par for me. Like, it was ordinary. It was just one of those days. So
I don't think so. I look at the way you've run that, and you couldn't have run faster on this day. Like, this shows that you couldn't have run faster. You went out at a pace that you thought you could probably sustain, and you sustained it. Yeah. I actually think it's a pretty good run. Like, I knew you weren't going to run 29:15.
No, I knew I wasn't either. I look at it, and obviously this is the first year. Well, actually, just back to the point about, like, the relatively even split. I think that just goes to show that, like, there is this old man strength where it's like I have this one gear now, but I can sort of keep doing it a lot longer than some of the guys that I'm running with at 5K. Like, they sort of drop off where, like, I'm not feeling comfortable at 5K, but I don't really slow down. And if I had to, like, I probably could have gone a couple more kilometres, like, at this pace. It's just, like, that's the pace that I have now. And, like 3-minute Ks for me is, and we spoke about it the other week, is, like, feels really fast. But, and it just goes to show that, like, my age and the type of training I do now, I'm just way more suited to the longer stuff, where all the guys that were in that sort of top 20, like, other than Benny Saint, are these, like, early to mid 20s, low 14-minute guys. So 3-minute Ks is pretty comfortable for them. So
with a K to go, did you pass anyone, or were you passed?
No, so I wasn't passed. That was the thing that sort of maybe spurred me on a little bit, was that massive pack that was on the first lap. When I turned the corner to run the long out and back section, you could see it was a bit of carnage up front. Like, people were just sort of really dropping off, and everyone sort of in that second lap seemed to be just running on their own. So I didn't pass anybody in the second lap. And there was only one person that went past me, and that was Drew Fryer, who I think he went out pretty conservative to pace a guy for around 31 minutes, but that guy dropped off. So Drew then just picked up the last, like, 2K. So he went past me with 2K to go. And so, like, there was nobody in front of me really to catch. And then when we got onto the track, I could feel a guy from behind was, like, trying to out sprint me. So, like, with 50 to go, I'm like, I'll like pick it up to make sure that he doesn't beat me. Yeah.
So, all right. Don't try that.
What about the bloke cutting the corners?
Who was it? Name him, Crooks.
Did you beat him?
Nah. So he beat me. So he finished in front of me by, like, a second and a half, or 2 seconds. 2 seconds or something like that. And the guy who finished just behind me came up, tapped me on the back, and said, "Good work, mate. You would have got him if you didn't cut the corners."
Oh, I like this. I like that you've called him out in the middle of the race too.
That's the thing. I would never. like I would never do that normally. I think it was more like this is probably the first race where I've been on the start line, the gun's gone, and I just haven't had that like surge of adrenaline. And I think the reason why I generally race, at least to the standard that I'm training at, or if not a little bit better, is once you get that adrenaline pumping, I reckon it's worth a few seconds a K. Like just, everything feels a little bit easier. But I just didn't have any of that. And then it wasn't until I yelled at this bloke that I then, because I went from like, I went 3:11, 3:08 for the 5th K. And then it was just after we went through 5K that I yelled at him. And then I've run 3:03, which is slightly downhill. But, it sort of got me just going again. And it felt like I just needed that.
Does that concern you, Croaks, that you didn't have that when the gun went off? Because you're a big-time performer. Like, you don't lace up very often, and when you do come out, I feel like you come out and perform to very high standards. I was a bit shocked when I saw this result, to be honest. Like, people were talking about it at AV, and they're like, 31.20. And I'm like, you mean 29.20? And they're like, no, you ran 31.20. Then people are lipping you off, and I'm like, do not lip off Croker in my company. I was nearly swinging at the start line of Albert Park 10K.
Yeah. Like a little bit,
because you're a proud man. That's what I mean. Like you wouldn't front up for a 31.25.
But I didn't like. That's the thing. I didn't like.
Then that's my question. Does it worry you that you don't care?
Well, no. It just goes to show that I need to be passionate about the races that I'm doing for me to get for me to get the best out of myself. Because when I went through 3K and I threw in a 3:11, I'm like, I don't really care. I'm not actually enjoying this. Like it's a grind. It doesn't feel as easy as I feel like it should or used to feel at this pace. And 10K now is just not really a thing for me. Like, whereas, I go to Gold Coast and I pace the lead women there. Yes, it's not really a race, but I'm definitely more up and about because I feel like I've got a job and like there's some adrenaline pumping to make sure that I do that job.
Paid moves. That's what gets the adrenaline going.
Likewise, if I was down racing AV or like the time that I did it for the bats, because it was a team competition as well, I know that every position that I beat somebody is important. Whereas on this race, I'm not registered with a club. I'm running in a Mulligan's, Mulligan's flat track club singlet. It doesn't matter. Like I didn't care if people went past me. It didn't bother me. But like the hard effort will definitely bring, I ran harder than I would have in training. I was cooked at the end. Like I was stuffed. I just couldn't go any faster. So I'm sure that effort will bring me up a fair bit. So like certainly no excuses. I just wasn't good on the day, and I can't expect to, like, if I don't race, like I haven't run a hard 10K for a year. Like you can't expect to not race for a year and go out and have blinders. Like you do need some sort of race practice, I think.
Yeah, it's more so much the routines of race morning and that, like, the stress of like you're on a time schedule and things like that. Like it's just different than training. What about people, like I know you went through individually every single guess in the guessing competition, 995 people or something. Like was that getting in your head? Like were you concerned you had pressure on or anything like that?
Nah, not really. No. Like there was none of that.
You were calling out people who were having guesses.
Oh, well, only because I know that like this stuff, if you're, because there's no rules about how many entries you could have. So one bloke's put in like 60 entries.
What about people guessing after the race, submitting the time you ran? Just dogs.
I know that. Yeah, but that's, I don't have an issue with that one because the rules state that when when I guess Zach put the thing up, that the entry's closed, the competition's closed. Like any entry after that, we know that's not valid. Yeah. So anyway.
That will bring you up though, as you said. You'll turn a page from that. You can't stimulate that in training.
Yeah, like the positive was that I didn't, like if you told me at 3K that I was going to maintain pace for the next 7, I wouldn't have believed you. So I feel like that was a positive, that there's definitely some level of strength there. Also, I didn't give up. Like I kept running, whereas like I've spoken to some other people that, they're like, oh, after 7K, I just like jogged it in. So I certainly didn't jog it in. But it was nice. Like the positive of the morning was also just catching up with a lot of people that I don't get to see that often. So like people that I used to train with, old coaches, Yeah, and obviously having a lot of my own athletes up there that did run PBs on a certified course. So that was nice. And nice just to go away to a race with people as opposed to just doing it on your own.
Yeah, well, do you want to go to the results and then we can talk about the race a bit more? So, like, Ed Goddard got the win in 29.22, Kieren Perkins second, 29.51. Benny St. Lawrence just keeps laying on the podium, doesn't he? He's not going away. I guess a guy of that class isn't going to just disappear from the sport. 29.56. Do you know how the men's race unfolded? Ed, pretty significant win there, 30 seconds up.
Yeah, so he cleared out pretty early, and the only person that was with him that I saw was Josh Johnson. And I thought to myself, Josh is either going to have a good run here or I'll pass him at 7K. But to his credit, like Josh actually, for how fast he went out, like held on pretty well. He was like low 30 minutes. And then, as I said, there was this massive pack, which included, Kieren, Benny Saint, Connor Whiteley, a couple of other sort of Sydney Uni boys, Luke Hintz, and then I'm not really sure how it played out towards the end. But Ed was like pretty dominant.
And the ladies, I think I've got the results just here. Eloise Wellings got the win in 33.15. Aynslee Van Graan, South African athlete, isn't she? But lives here.
Yep.
She represented South Africa at the World Cross Country Champs. 33.21. And third place, Croaks?
Niamh Allen.
Is that Niamh Allen? Yep.
Yeah, 33.34. Yeah, so I think Eloise was I spoke to her afterwards, and like she asked me what I ran, and I asked her, and like I think she was hoping to go a bit faster than that. So
was the course significantly different from last year? Now it's certified. Like, did you run it and go, we've turned around a lot further down the road, or was there an extra loop or anything like that?
No, the turnaround point on the long out and back section was the same. I think so. You go around the stadium, and then you do a little bit of a U-turn to then head down onto the road. And I think maybe that U-turn was a little bit further. You had to run before you turned, and then the finish was completely different. So you used to run in through sort of the gates, and then you'd run around and you'd come down onto the track at about the 50-metre mark. And so you'd have like 350 metres or so to run on the track. Whereas this time you came through the gates, but then you ended up sort of winding around and coming through the tunnel with about like 150 to go. So the end was definitely different. And it's the first time that they've, that finish has been like that. It was a tough little finish because it was uphill from the bottom of the course and a little bit twisty through there. But there's no doubt that it was like, the other years, just having a look at what, people's like watches measure. It's like other years it's been shorter than what it was this year. Yeah.
The winner of the race, Ed Goddard, ran with his mobile phone in his hand, Croaks. So just talk me through this. On the start line, is he playing music while you're on the start line, and then does he go off and change songs as he's running?
Well, I got no idea. I didn't even know he was running with his phone until I saw a photo.
Yeah, right.
So I couldn't hear anything, but then so he must have been on the other side because I was right on one edge of the starting chute. He must have been on the other side, but then I think I heard some people saying about how about like Ed just playing music on the start line.
Maybe his girlfriend just makes him carry his phone at all times, just so
she worries about him.
just part of the arrangement they got.
Yeah, maybe. Boys, thoughts on Alpha Flies for 10k?
Nah, no good for 10k.
Yeah,
I wore every day.
Yeah, I wore them last year, and this year I was just like, I just feel really, really clunky. I felt like I just wanted a shoe that was just that little bit more low profile. So I think moving forward, I'm going to save the Alpha Flies for half marathon and marathon, and then maybe go to the next percent or whatever, or for the 5, 10k, that sort of stuff.
Especially for U-turns.
Why didn't you wear the Mizunos?
Yeah, I should. Well, I got to train in them more.
Yeah, I like them.
That higher stack though around U-turns would also cause an issue.
Yeah.
But I like the aggression of them. I agree with you, Moose.
But in hindsight, so if we're looking at last year, so I ran like 30.26, but let's say the course this year, which is now legit, was probably like I probably ran 80 meters, like 90, like yeah, probably 80, 90 meters further this year than last year. So you add that onto last year's time, and it's closer to that 30, 40 to 30, 50, which like I reckon I'm in similar shape to last year. So it means that I've basically just had a 20, 30 seconds off probably where I would have been happy with 20 to 30 seconds faster, I reckon, which, like if I just was on, if I had a good day, then that's probably, where I could have been.
You picked out something else for a bit of redemption?
I'm going to do Gold Coast. I'm not sure whether I'll finish it, but I'm going to do a bit of a mini sort of marathon block between now and then. But I'm also going to go to Wollongong for a weekend. When is it? 4th of June. I'm going to do a half marathon in Wollongong.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah,
I like that. And how's Viv been the last couple of days? Like you been moping around the house and stuff, or you been up and about? Not letting it impact your home life.
No. Like I was pretty fine about it, to be honest. Yeah. It's,
I was worried you were going to be real pissed off. I'm like, oh, he's fuming, not writing back to messages, stuff like that.
It's just made me realise where my strengths are now, and I just focus on that longer stuff, I think.
Good. Plenty of people there too, Croaks. The last bit on Sydney 10. Well attended.
Yeah, look, and that's one thing that like New South Wales athletics have done really well over the last few years is they've turned this event. It's not so much about just a club competition and Athletics New South Wales event. It's brought in like recreational runners, and it's turned it into more of a fun run vibe. Because back in the day, like early 2000s, like the New South Wales Road Champs used to be held out at the Holsworthy Army Barracks, and the only people that were out there racing were those diehard people that were part of a legitimate athletics club. Whereas now, they had I think 2,500 people or something across all events, and a big chunk of them aren't registered with an athletics club. They just turn up because it's a well-run event on a pretty fast course. Most of my athletes aren't registered with a club, but they're able to run this. Whereas, 20 years ago, they would have never been part of the New South Wales road running championships. So that's good.
Existed.
Yeah.
That's good. I'll whip through this week, fellas. Monday, 10k easy in the morning, 4:33s, 9k in the afternoon, 4:27s. Tuesday, woke up, Hudson, vomiting, real sick. So that wasn't great. And Hudson's got a bit of energy, so we actually know when he's sick, he's actually sick. So kept him home from daycare, and then took Olivia to daycare, and then I quickly dropped Hudson off at Carly's mum's so I could just do a quick workout. I did 4x4k and then 1x2k at the end of it, all with 500 jog in between. I was just scattered doing the workout. When you think your day is going to go a certain way and then it doesn't, and then I kind of did it in a location I wouldn't usually do workouts, which is probably good for me because I went over the bridge, got some elevation in the middle of my session, which was good. Usually I kind of go to the flattest and fastest roads I can possibly find, but this was good to go somewhere different. And then about halfway through the workout, I remembered I forgot to give Carly's mum Hudson's EpiPen. And I was just panicking the whole time that she'd given him something that he was allergic to, and I'm going to get back to my car and see that he's in hospital, something like that. So my head was all over the place for this workout. I still hit it where I wanted to hit it, but one of those ones where you're doing the workout and you don't feel like you actually should be doing a workout. You should be at home looking after your kid kind of thing. So got it done, kind of hovered around 3:18, 3:21, 3:22 kind of pace for the 4Kers. All up, it was like 20k at 3:26 pace, and then picked him up and then spent the day with him on the couch. Actually, then Olivia got sent home from daycare, had a message when I got back to my car that she needed to get picked up, so I had both the kids at home on Tuesday, which was a bit of fun. Got out for 7k in the afternoon at 4:35s. Wednesday, 30 minutes in the morning at 4:38s. Just hammered rain the whole time. It was just drenched, cold rain. was not enjoyable at all. Got out for 10k after work at 4:26s. Thursday, 20k, put a bit of intent into this one, average 3:53 pace, just around this like 2k loop that's kind of pretty well lit up. Started at 6 a.m, so needed to kind of be able to see the road, and yeah, kind of took the first couple of k's to warm up, and then kind of just locked into that low 3:50 pace just to tick along. It felt actually a bit smoother than this pace has felt in the past. I've kind of always felt that this pace was a bit like awkward. It's like you're not jogging but you're not doing a workout, whereas this one I felt like I locked in pretty well. Friday I did 10k at 4:32s and then 10k at strides after work at 4:23s. At this stage the whole family was sick. Carly had COVID, Hudson had COVID. I was okay, like I was still running and I'm like, I feel fine, but I was totally aware that I'm like, yeah, everyone in my house was sick and I'm going to most likely be sick any day now. So Saturday morning I did a COVID test and it come back negative. So I thought, okay, I'm fine. And I ran 11k at 4:16s and felt perfectly fine. I had a bit of a like snuffle and then like a bit of a sore throat, but I think that's probably just a cold or something I caught off some kids at school. So I went down to Melbourne Saturday afternoon. Stayed with Cramer's Moose, you'd know Luke Cramery, and your new recruit at Geelong, Ryan Cramery, who had a bit of a blinder. Stayed with those two boys Saturday night. Ran 31:30. He only does about 70k a week. Coached by Josh Harris. He's absolutely flying.
You actually wouldn't believe what a good group can do for you.
Yeah.
Forget the coaching. He's come down and runs with our group on Sundays, mate. It's got nothing to do with fucking Josh Harris typing away in his little basement.
Josh Harris has been writing his program for 6 months and turned him in from a 35 guy to a 31 guy off 70k a week. Anyway, so
Surf Coast Track Club doing that.
He said he never goes because he's hungover most Sundays too. But stayed with those two boys in Melbourne. Had dinner with Zaka, which was nice to see him. Got some pizza. Then
Is he on his phone a lot, Zaka?
Nah, not at all.
I heard he's just a madman on the dating apps.
No,
like just non-stop.
He must have had on airplane mode because it was pretty quiet. Or just sitting there having some pizza. Took forever to arrive, the pizza too. Everything in Melbourne's just slow, isn't it? I don't know how people live there. Traffic slow, pizza slow, just getting places slow. Just like, why would you want to live in a big city like that? My mate Crammers forgot all his running gear, so we had to go to Chadstone and buy some. 1 billion people walking around that shopping centre. I just don't like seeing that many people in one spot. It just freaks me out a bit, the little boy from the country. But yeah, we rocked up to the race on Sunday morning. Hammering rain, windy, like just what you're talking about before, Croaks. You're just not excited at all. This is like very much go through the motions, try to score as many or as little points as possible, I suppose, for the Bendigo Bats team. And one of those ones you warm up and you just get wet and you're just jumping in puddles. And I saw Bree and Ali actually, Moose. They were doing some strides on the home straight just as I was just lacing up my Vaporflies to get ready to go to the start line. So it was good to see some familiar faces.
Bree would have looked like the Olympian out of those two.
She looked like Jessica Hull going down the home straight.
When she does the strides, yeah, she can stride, that girl.
Yeah, she looked very smooth. What's your thoughts on this though, boys? Pre-race, you got an athletics track to warm up on because we finish on the athletics track. Pretty big wind. Do you do the strides with the tailwind or the headwind behind you to like pre-race? Like, do you want to be feeling amazing with a massive tailwind, or you want to run into the headwind and just be like, you know what, I just want to open up, but I don't want a bit of a false, expectations about how I'm actually feeling pre-race? What would you do in that situation?
Both.
Both? You go both ways, would you?
Yeah. Well, you walk back from a stride.
Jog back.
Really?
Yeah, always jog back. Yep.
I don't have time for that shit.
We'll just wait there for 5 seconds, then hammer back.
Exactly. That's what I do. Yeah, I don't have time to jog back. That'll take you 20 minutes.
No, just jog back. It takes you'd stride for 20 seconds, jog back in a minute, then stride again.
What's the point of doing all that jogging? Your point is to do the strides.
Really? Okay.
Up and back.
What would you do, tail or headwind?
Well, I would go up and back.
You would as well.
That's what I did on the weekend because we finished on the track as well. So I was doing up and back, but I'd probably go a little bit longer with the tail and a bit shorter into the headwind.
Sometimes I do like the activation drills on the way back as well. Anyway, I went 2 into the headwind. I was the only guy going in that direction. Everyone else was going in the other direction. Bit chaotic, but that's all right.
What, no one was doing them up and back?
Nah, everyone. So I'd be going into the headwind and everyone would be walking towards me to go do tailwind ones again. I only did 2, actually. This is not a great amount of, anecdotal evidence, but, yeah, there weren't many people going into the headwind.
What about the girls? What were they doing?
They were going tailwind. That's why they were moving so smoothly, Moose. Flying. I only actually saw them do 1. They could have done a stack of them, but I'm just not sure.
I don't think they did more than 1 lap warming up.
Pretty rushed for time. Yeah.
Nah, just no mileage allowed.
Good to see Pashley at an AV race, though. It's been a while. She come 62nd or something, didn't she? Just jogging along.
She would have been fucking strutting around, would she? In the sign a few orders.
I did actually hear a story walking to the start line. There's plenty of stuff getting spoken about on the way to the start line, but someone said that she went to pick up her bib, and they said, "What's your name?" And she said Ali, and then the official last name. And there might have been some comments about hang on, you don't ask for my last name at these kind of events. You should know me as Ali.
Take another look. Yeah. Take another look, peasant.
Grant Simpson passed on that story, which I liked. Gun goes, I was on the front line, dangerous spot to be in an AV race when you haven't done much fast stuff. I just pulled up next to Rome and Nathan. He said, "What are you running?" I said, "I'm going to try break 31 minutes. That'd be a good day for me." Went through the first K in 2:58. Knew that was way too quick. I said, "See you, Nathan." He goes, "Okay, you should not be here if you're trying to break 31. So I pulled off, pulled back a bit, and then just settled in no man's land. I was kind of off the back of the 30-minute group. And then a few guys went past me who probably got a bit caught up at the start to get onto that 30-minute group. And then got to the turnaround about 2.5, 3K in. And then we turned into a pretty stiff headwind. And I thought, I might just try and close this gap to get a bit of cover. I noticed the group kind of slowed down a bit because they went way too fast the first 2.5, 3K. So kind of got back on the group and stayed with them till about 4K. And then I think they figured out they'd slowed way too much if they were going to be breaking 30. And they picked it up again. And that time I let them go. Went through 5K in about, I'm going to say 15:12, I think it was. Looked at my watch and thought, that's a bit too hot for me. Let's just back off a bit here, and kind of almost floated it down to the turnaround at 7K, the last U-turn. I kind of thought, I'll float down here, just take the foot off the pedal a bit, but if anyone goes past me, I'll protect the position. And everyone was just kind of dying the same death. Everyone was popping a bit, but kind of staying in the same position. So I didn't pass anyone, and no one passed me from 5K in. And we just had little gaps, like Nath Pearce was probably 20 seconds ahead of me at 7K and finished 20 seconds ahead of me. And then Max was 10 seconds ahead of me and probably finished 10 seconds ahead of me. And then, Gunther was behind me, probably 15 seconds, and probably stayed 15 seconds. So, I finished 25th or 26th actually. I scored 25 points because there was an invitation runner in front of me. 30:49. Probably a great indication of where I'm at, actually. Haven't just done that top end stuff. And as you were saying, Croaks, low 3-minute pace just felt like it was sprinting. Didn't get that hard, but I just felt flat out. So, it was good. Bats are in 4th. We're struggling a bit this season, but hopefully we can start to turn the season around. Good work to anyone who was out there running, because those weather conditions were very... You know what they were like, Moose? Lake Bewale when you and Nick Earl ran well. Cold, wet, miserable. Someone said to me when we were getting changed, they said, imagine running a marathon in that. And I said, that is exactly like Lake Bewale was like 5 degrees, cold. You feel like you're wet and you're just shaking and you kind of can't get going.
Yeah, but at a slower pace, it's okay. So it's obviously harder to run a really fast pace when it's so cold.
Yeah, and you're hitting the puddles and your legs are wet and yeah.
Yeah, slowing down's okay. And you warm up and you wear gear, like arm warmers, gloves, beanies, all that shit.
Yeah. What do you think about people who wear the T-shirts under the singlets?
It's a real Mono thing to do.
Did he used to do that? Yeah, Cody Shanahan pulled it off. And the hat on to kind of keep the rain off the... And he came like 2nd or 3rd. It's pretty good swagger, I reckon.
I don't think you need it when it's that... It wasn't that cold.
Oh, no, he's just doing it to look good.
You think he was?
And I think he looks good too. And he runs 29:12 and comes 3rd.
Like
pulls it off.
Anthony Davis playing in a T-shirt under his singlet.
Yeah. Who's the bloke that wears the tights under his shorts? Tatum?
Oh, yeah. Or like full lengths.
Yeah, there's some guys in the NBA do that. Full-length tights, shorts over the top. The real
because it's not that
footballer.
cold, is it, really? It's like fucking 10 degrees or something, wasn't it?
At the race, yeah. I'm not sure.
It wouldn't be much less than 10.
Shows me on Strava here, but I reckon the feels like would have been cold once you were wet. It was still a beautiful morning for fast times. Like people ran, temperature was 8 degrees, feels like 6, and we were wet.
Yeah,
and
so
it was,
you put
15 or 14.4k winds. It says here, which they come off that. It was a real weird wind. I'm not sure if you've spoken to any of the Geelong people, but like it was coming in sideways, and there'd be sections where on the way out you'd have a headwind, and then it would turn into a tailwind, even though you're pretty much heading in the same direction.
Well, there's a bit of an S out there. It's a bit of an S bend.
But it was, amazing. You'd think, so I've ran that in years where it's just come like tail head.
It always is that. That's what I was telling Toby.
Whereas this year it wasn't.
Yeah, pretty much there's never, ever been a wind where you've had a tailwind on the way out.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, on the way back, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever been blown back to the finish. You're always working into a headwind.
Remember 2019, Brady? That was a grind coming back into the wind.
Whereas this year, I reckon it was tail until you hit the S, and then it turned into a head. Like, so you'd get a head and a tail in one direction.
It's just always windy at Elwyn Park.
Yeah.
Croaks' time counts. Yours doesn't, Brady.
Yeah, which is, I'll go through the results now, and I want to talk about that. So Archie Noakes won the race, the youngster from Athletics Essendon.
I picked that.
Did you?
Do you remember last week? Who's going to win? And I said Archie Noakes will win.
No, you had said Ed Marks was win.
No.
The conversation was Ed Marks or Cody Shanahan. No one mentioned Archie Noakes, I swear.
You go back, have another listen.
No, I'm pretty sure, Moose, you went... Who ran... No.
Yeah,
Moose
he did.
Who ran the fastest times at Gills Park, and it was like Marks and Shanahan, and I think, Moose, that's why you said, Ed Marks.
Go back and have another listen.
No, because I said Shanahan would beat Ed Marks because of experience, and you said, Ed Marks will win because he ran faster at Gills Park.
You go back, have another listen, fellas.
Anyway, I will. Be the first thing I do after this show's finished. Archie Noakes, he's off to college next year. He's going to Oregon, which is a big college, big running culture to go there. He ran 29.06. Ed Marks was second, 29.08. Cody Shanahan third, 29.12. Glenhuntly got the win. They had some ridiculously low score. Do you know what that is off the top of your head, Moose?
No.
It was like 100, if something like that. Like, they are so strong. 105 for 6 runners. 2nd, 11th, 15th, 20th, 23rd, 34th. They're going to take some beating this year. Western A's 2nd, Box Hill 3rd. In the women's, Sarah Klein got the win, 33.27. Stella Radford 2nd, 33.44. Gemma Maini 3rd, 33.51. Glenhuntly got the win there, Box Hill and St. Stephen's. So they've done the double, Glenhuntly, men's and women's. I guess their women's team pretty much won everything last year, so that's to be expected. But yeah...
Just, you missed one result.
Did
Geelong. Geelong Div 2 ladies, coming for it.
Coming for promotion, are they?
Did I say at the end of last year, watch the Geelong ladies next year, we're going to get going?
You know what you have said on this show about Div 2 teams in the past?
Well, this is our
no one gives a shit about Div 2 moves. You've been telling me that for years.
This is our main team.
You've been telling me that for years. Yeah, it was the Bendigo Bats main team back in the day too.
But Brady, this is the guy that says, one week says long runs need to be slow, and then the next week it's like, oh, look at the old boys. They used to get moving.
Yeah.
We don't train hard enough. Moose, what were you saying about the course?
Oh, the course. So I said Croaks. Croaks can go on World Athletics and go, hey, this bloke's, I'll run 10k here. Whereas you can't, Brady.
I can't. And you know, I'll pull up the results here. Low on women, 249 in the women's race, and men, I think it was 605. Yeah, it was 605. Paying entries, paying regos, paying to get a 10k time. Doesn't matter if you're last spot running an hour and 1 minute, or you're the first spot running, which would have been an Australian under 20 10k road record. Archie Noakes, 29.06. Doesn't count though, because the race does not pay their certification, which I think is ridiculous, because the athletes are rocking up. The people are supporting these events. People are paying regos. People paying entries. Fork out the money to get it accredited, so people can actually claim their PBs and have no doubt. Because I actually don't doubt this course. I think the issue with Sydney 10 last year is a whole lot of people's Garmins were showing 9.95 or 9.99 or 10.01. I think this course is legit. I just think it's like cost cutting, not getting it certified. and it's the athletes who suffer, no one else.
This sort of stuff's one reason why.
And Archie Noakes does not become the Australian record holder because the event does not choose to be certified.
For so many years, I was focused on track, and it was largely because of this. It's like when I ran a certain time, I wanted to know that that was legit. And if you do track races, there's no arguments there. Like, your time counts, whereas there's so many fun runs around the world. How many of those fun runs are actually legit? It wouldn't be a high percentage.
But this one should be. This is a state body putting on a running event. If anything's got to be legit, it has to be a state championship 10k road race.
Yeah, I agree.
I get that Run Melbourne, hey, it's a charity thing, or Run for the Kids, or, this one I put on in Echuca, it's raising money for a charity. I'm measuring it on my watch. We're trying to raise money for people with a disability. We're not going to spend the money to get a course certified, and that's not what this is, but this is the very top end. All those, a lot of those people there are there to claim PBs, and I think they shouldn't have any doubt in looking at their results afterwards and thinking, was it 10k? Was it not 10k?
So Jimmy from New South Wales, he told us how much it costs, didn't he? He said what?
Yeah, he did.
$2,000? About $2,000?
Yeah, I think it was, like
I'd have to
$2,000 or
scroll back to the
$3,000 or
messages.
something, which in the scheme of things is not a lot of money.
And it lasts for 4 or 5 years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I've been running Melbourne Park 10k since 2014, I reckon, 2015. Like, it's been the same course for, that's 8-9 years.
And so, Brady, you happy to cop a bit of the extra cost of that in your membership, in your AV package?
Well, I think I've paid. What was my AV package? Do you remember what we paid off the top of your head, Moose? I have to look up my bank statement. Was it 400 or 300? It was something very close to. I'll look that up because I want to get it right. But
you'd pay an extra $1, wouldn't you, for it to because how many members AV got?
That's what I'm saying. There's 900 people raced on the weekend, but I don't think it'd be at that. Look, I obviously running businesses and stuff and insurances. Like, I'm not pretending to know what these kind of things cost, but the product to do, and I love the product. Spoken about it so many times. Like, I think it's great. I love the point scoring. I think a lot of other states are jealous in what we do. Yeah, just over $400 it was. So that's to enter every race for the season.
But you got a tattoo with that. You got a temporary tattoo with that, right?
And an Athletes Victoria sticker. Yep. So, no, but I think we at times we eat ourselves from the inside as a sport. Like, this stuff should be ticked off and dot the I's, cross the T's. This is a good swipe that we can do, and we saw Athletes New South Wales do it.
Trelful on the loose. I like it. I like bringing you in a bit sometimes.
It's not even on the loose. It's just very common sense.
Pussy on the podcast.
I am not. I call stuff out all the time.
No, you go off in the message group, but then you get real quiet when we start recording. I want to start recording a bit of this stuff.
I do not. It's just a very simple thing to do, and I hope they don't write back to my messages, so they're never going to listen to me on a podcast.
So what we're saying is your 30-49 is probably the equivalent of a 31-26.
Yeah, some Sydney 10 vibes from last year about this.
No way. This one was, I measured it 80 metres long, didn't I, on my watch? 40. This is legit. Should have seen how windy it was, Croaks. U-turns. Yeah. I was only tempoing as well. 30-50 tempoing.
You like how I floated from 7 to 9k.
Yeah, I floated. Put the brakes on. I did. Asked Matty Gunther. He was 15 seconds behind me. I was just keeping an eye on him so he wouldn't go past me. Just protect position 25 moves.
He was floating too.
Yeah, everyone tempos AV races. Unless you have a good one. That was that. We've kind of recapped 2 races of the running news, but let's go back to thanks and patrons. Oh, actually, no, when I got home, I ran again, boys. I ran 7k after I put Olivia to bed.
What did you do that for?
Then I went to the gym. Because I wanted
that's a bad call.
Because it was just a tempo in the morning, so I do a double usually on session days.
No, that's a bad call. That.
Went to the gym.
Folks, back me up here. That's a bad call.
A double on a session day.
It's not a session.
It was a session.
That's harder than a session, surely.
That was not a session.
The session.
Come on.
You sit in the car for 3 hours, Moose. You want to move the legs over after the workout.
Let's rewind 15 minutes when you were doing the recap of the race, and you're like, yeah, that's about the shape that I'm in. Which would indicate that you've actually raced it, not done it as a tempo.
Couldn't go any faster, basically.
I could have went faster. Could have went real. I put the brakes on at 5k. I'm just like, protect position 25, get to the finish line. I could have ran. But in saying that,
to Melbourne.
I don't
You've
think
done a 10k race hard in the cold and shit. You've driven all the way back, and you decided it's a good idea to go for a jog.
Just started to stretch my legs, Moose, to get the junk out of the legs after driving 3 hours.
Maybe you need Josh Harris to coach you.
There's some credibility in that, moving your legs around. And I wanted to get in the gym because I wasn't in the gym. You feel much better.
Oh, well, like just racing in these shoes, like I had no soreness whatsoever. Like it's crazy. Whereas
I'm sore today.
Really? Yeah. As what, doing a tempo?
I'm always sore after workouts, mate. I always run 440s after a workout. Anyway, let's go to our Patreon supporters. Kick us off, Bradley. Who you got?
I got Ryan Carr. So Ryan is from Otago in New Zealand, and I got this from his Instagram bio. He's a Kiwi, he's a shepherd, he's a trail runner, a peak bagger, hunter, and all-round outdoors lover. He represented New Zealand at last year's World Mountain Running Champs, finishing 58th in the 40k race. He won and broke the course record at the 2018 Shotover Marathon, which had over 2,500 metres of elevation. He competes in skyrunning events all over the world. He was second last year in the Bernina Ultra K's Marathon in Switzerland, which had over 2,600 metres of elevation and was run at an altitude that reached 3,000 metres above sea level. So thanks for your support, Ryan. I think the first shepherd we've ever had on the Patreon shout-out.
Bio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shepherd.
Just on that race in Switzerland too. That guy before, he was from Sweden, not Switzerland.
Oh, you've cooked that.
John Kingsted, and he's not a 214 guy. He is a 217 guy.
Oh, still elite. Still elite.
29.14 as well.
No one cares about 10k, mate.
Yeah. Agreed, Moose. No one cares about 10k.
No one cares
anymore.
About 10K.
Yeah, we're moving on from 10ks. Who you got, Moose?
Oh well, I've got old Christian Torreson. Now, does that mean he's old Christian, or is that Ole Christian Torreson?
Not sure.
I'll put in Google Translate for you.
Is he making fun of himself? I don't know. Christian Torreson from Norway. So he follows other Christian on Strava. So we're guessing he's the right person. Not a lot of results were found, but he did run 53.38 at the 10 for Greta event, 10 for Greta event in Oslo last year. Looks like he does a lot of yoga and a bit of cycling. Get some pics of him doing yoga. Did you, Croaks?
No, just on his Strava, there's he does it I reckon 5 times a week.
Oh, he's a smart fucker. I think he is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Oslo and has a Masters of Science in Molecular Biology.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Maybe that Ole means doctor or something.
No, it just translates exactly the same on Google Translate. Ole to Ole.
Means smart bloke.
Yeah.
In Norwegian.
Means smart motherfucker.
What does that even mean?
Thanks, Chris O. I reckon, you know what I'd be sure of? He'd be a much better bloke than the other Christian.
He's been sick, the other Christian. You got to be nice to him. Been in bed for 10 days.
What sort of sick?
Oh, they got some London flu, I think, when he was over there for the marathon.
Mate, he cooked himself in that marathon.
He's only ran once since then. Catch up with him shortly on the monthly, coming up soon. Him and Toby, the bad boy, had a good run at Albert Park too. 29.40 or something, didn't he? Yeah, he's back. Tempoed it too, he told me on the start line. He was going well. I'm going to thank Mason Mick Glamory. That's a nice name, isn't it? Mason Mick Glamory. Lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Basketball team coming out of there, isn't there, Moose? Charlotte Hornets, they still getting around?
Yeah, the Hornets don't have a different name now.
Does Michael Jordan own it? Is that the one he owns?
Oh, yeah, he did. I reckon he's sold. Oh, I reckon he's built it up. It's pretty worth a bit. He may have sold it.
Okay.
Jeez. He's still there on the sideline, I reckon. Okay. Charlotte Hornets. Weren't they trying to get it to change the name because the Charlotte Bobcats? They go to Bob.
I don't know what you're talking about. You can Google that while I'm
Charlotte
talking about
Bobcats.
Mason.
Who were the Charlotte Bobcats then? Anyway, go on. Sorry.
He's got an estimated best of 21.13 for 5K, and he ran 1:37 at the 2022 River Arts District Half Marathon and 3:29 at the 2022 Charlotte Marathon. think he is a manager at SC Replenishment at Lowe's Companies and studied at the University of Tennessee. It's always good to get an American Patreon supporter. Thanks, Mason. Let me know, are you an Australian living over there? Or, like, how did you come across the show all the way over there in America? We don't have many American listeners.
And Brady, what do you reckon SC stands for? SC Replenishment. Do you reckon it's like shopping centre replenishment at Lowe's Companies?
Yeah, I had no idea until you said that. What does Lowe's Companies do?
Well, I know. Well, the Lowe's I know do, like, clothing. You know Lowe's?
Yeah, but this is like home improvements here, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we've got to thank all our Patreon supporters because you keep the show alive each week. That was just 3 of them. But everyone else over there, thank you very much for supporting us to get to episode number 288. We do have a new show coming. Well, more than one new show potentially. Got a couple of things in the works. Just spoke to one of the people who are doing Gold Coast Marathon this year, a big name, who has just confirmed, boys, that he would be happy to be a part of the project of the road to Gold Coast, which is good. So I think I'll go over to that show for the next 7 or 8 weeks, maybe 7 weeks leading in, 1 week after, to be an 8-week series. A lot of people writing in about keeping something going with the girls, Sinead and Ali, because they were pretty good. And Christian and Toby coming at you on the monthly, talk about all things world running with Christian and what's happening in Toby's life now that he lives down in Anglesey. So I reckon Zaka might have some kind of announcement on social media before this week is out. And then there might be a fill-in host for the next couple of weeks, Croaks. You'll be able to tee that up again.
Yep, we can do that.
If I'm not here next week, I'm just waiting on the third person. Correspondence has been set to him. I'm just waiting to see if he's keen. I think he will be.
Love the comms within this, considering this is the first time I'm learning of all of this.
I told you last week, didn't I?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You know? Yes, you do. Remember those 2 names we spoke about?
I know one of them, I think.
No, because you know why he doesn't know.
Should I tell you that? Yeah, because he doesn't read any of the messages and stuff, and he wonders why he's never heard about stuff.
Well, also, when we stop recording, he goes and turns the kettle on and he can't hear anything over his kettle.
Oh, yeah, that's it. He blows my ears off every Monday night when the show ends. But do you want me to tell you the one name who's confirmed?
Yeah, tell us, confirm one.
Ed Goddard.
Ed
Goddard, the winner of Sydney 10, 2:13 man. He's got a lot of things wrong in the marathon so far as well, Ed, so it's going to be fascinating. He's got the new man in his corner leading into this marathon, Steve Monaghetti. So
don't he get coached by Gavin Burren?
I think Steve Monaghetti is taking over the marathon part of his program. That's what he spoke about briefly in the interview I did with him. So I think it's going to be a fascinating build-up listening to his training for 7 weeks. And then, you know, he's a guy aiming for a fast time. He's not going to go around there and just stuff around. So I think it's going to be well worth listening to Ed's build-up for Gold Coast. We saw what he did to that field at Sydney 10. We can ask him about what he was listening to on his iPhone 12 as he was running along. He's got some good opinions too. So here's one of the people locked in, working on the other one at the moment. There we go.
Yeah, okay. All right.
There we go.
Interesting. Peaks and Trails has fantastic cash prizes on offer across all distances. On the Saturday is the Mud Dud Jug Challenge. 6.2k dash to the summit and back, gaining 430 metres of elevation. This can be run separately or is also the first part of the new Peaks and Trails Champion event.
And then Sunday is the main event, kicking off at 6:45am with 50, 20, 13.5 and 6.4k distances, all starting and finishing in the picturesque township of Dunkeld. Whatever your distance, run along parts of the Grampians Peak Trail for only the second year with these new courses.
This year, the organisers are throwing in a bonus $100 cash prize if you win and beat any of the course records. Considering they're only in the second year of the new courses, it's a great opportunity to earn some extra cash. One of the best things about Peaks and Trails is the local community members who come out on the trails volunteering their time as marshals. The encouragement and enthusiasm is amazing, especially in the challenging parts of the course.
To enter, visit Peaks and Trails on Instagram, Facebook, or the website. The biggest decision is what distance you're going to run. Then make a weekend of it in a beautiful part of Victoria. We also have a competition running. Check out the socials for details.
Doha Diamond League. Moose, did you watch any of it?
Nah, I didn't watch it. I saw the results though. This was on Saturday morning or something?
Yeah, about 3 a.m. or something, wasn't it? 4 a.m. Too early to get up, too late to stay up.
But we had some good results there in the ladies 1500. So won by Faith Kipyegon, who wins so much. She ran 3:58.57. Jess Hull was in fourth, ran 4 flat .90, and then Abbey Caldwell in behind her in fifth, 4:01.15. That's a PB for Abbey. Georgia Griffith, bit of a shocker, 4:15. She ran for 12th position. So yeah, good from the girls there. Sort of top 5 at Doha 1500. That's solid because that's always so fast. That's where they go there to run 3:30s, and the men do and quicker. So top 5 at Diamond League. Geez, that's good. That's top of the world stuff.
Especially when Faith Kipyegon's winning. Yeah,
and Jess once again put herself in a really good spot, and so did Abbey. At one point coming down the straight, it was a bit like Melbourne in that Jess was in front in the home straight, but you're is Abbey going to run over the top of her? But Jess was once again just able to hold her off. So yeah, very good. Good start to the season.
Yeah, in the men's, the 3K, the Aussies were in that. Didn't fare great here. So Lemaitre Germa ran 7:26.18. That's motoring, considering that's pretty much 2 sub-4 miles in a row. Solomon Barrega ran 7:27 for second, and Berahu Aragawi 7:27 for third. Some big names there. Stewy was a DNF, apparently stepped off after only 800 metres. So obviously body not right, which is concerning. Matt Ramsden with 12th in 7:47. So I didn't watch this race. Was there anyone behind Ramsden?
No, he was last.
He was last. By a bit too, I think. Yeah. 10, 15 seconds kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing him getting into these Doha Diamond Leagues because he ran a lot of Diamond League last year, didn't he? Or he ran a lot of those higher profile races. Yeah, but I can't remember him having a blinder for a while. He was getting beaten in those 15s and miles at Melbourne, wasn't he? Remember, Cam Myers and that race where he broke through. Yeah, so he's obviously over in Europe now and pushing to run some qualifiers for his for world champs, world champs to start with for sure. And yeah, I just wonder how many Diamond Leagues you can get away with sort of not really running with the field at the end. Sorry, it was 6 seconds behind 11th spot. Yeah, so it's a fair way back. I wonder if he gets another gig or whether he has to go sort of on that second rung tour for a little bit to get a few wins up and to have more of a pack around. Perhaps. Right. Small field. There's only 12 people in the race.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good up front because it cleared out and there was 4. So there was the first 3 that we've mentioned, and El Bakali, the steepler, he was in the mix for a lot of it as well. But Ramsden seems to be one of those guys that has shown glimpses of potential over the last 5-6 years, but then hasn't really sort of gone on with it. Because it wasn't that long ago that he was Josh Cheptegei's main man for pacing world records.
Yeah, 2021, wasn't it? COVID, 2020 even, end of then? Yeah.
You're going well to pace world records. And he was running for a while with them. So hopefully he gets back there.
Yep. Good to see the Diamond League back, though. That kind of snuck up on me a bit. I didn't know it was happening until later in the week when I started to see the promo about it.
And do you boys know how to watch it now? That it's not on KO or Fox?
Yeah, so is it just YouTube live stream?
Yeah. So
can you rewatch it? Because I tried to find it today and I didn't know where it was.
So you just go to the World Athletics YouTube channel, and then if you search in there, you'll find it. Because I woke up on Friday morning, and I basically had my phone off, so I didn't know any of the results, and I was able to just go back and watch it all, and just fast forward, all the throws and the jumps, and just watch the running events.
You reckon you can go to World Athletics one or Diamond League one?
I thought I saw it on World Athletics.
Yeah, I'm only just scrolling now because I tried to find it today, and I think I was on Diamond League, but I still can't Because I was hoping just to rewatch the whole live stream, like live broadcast.
Yeah, or if you just put in World Athletics Doha Diamond League, it comes up. And so actually, no, here it is. It's the Wanda Diamond League channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Because we've never, it's only been Foxtel in the past, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So you think, and I know this is the listener question. Oh, yeah, there we go. You can see the whole thing. 2 hours worth of coverage.
Yep.
There we go. Wanda Diamond League channel. Not World Athletics, not Diamond League. Just go Wanda. Put that in front and you'll find it.
Public service announcement.
Yeah, wow. Only because this is the problem with our sport, isn't it? Like, I literally tried to watch these races today and couldn't find it because I was on the wrong channel.
Yeah.
That's good, though. So, like, you reckon Foxtel have just said, no, we're not paying for the right to that this year. So now we get, like, the global YouTube feed.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the global YouTube feed's better for, like, the general public because not everyone has Foxtel or KO.
Yep. Hey, Sound Running Meet was on. This looked big. A lot of, I think On sponsored it, and there are a lot of On athletes getting around and a bit of PR going with wherever they go. In the 5K, Lauren Ryan, she ran 15:20 in the Section 1 5K. And then Amy Bunnage ran 15:21 in the Section 2 5K. That, for people who aren't in America, is the A and the B race, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
Basically.
Cordia Hollingsworth was there in the Section 2 1500. She ran 4:08. Leanne Pompiani ran 31:45 in the 10K, and Andre Waring ran 28:31 in the 10K. PBs for both of those people, surely? Leanne, you going quicker than that?
I don't think so.
That's a good run then. It's good to see these people go overseas and, try to get in these quick races and come home with PBs.
Yeah.
So that's good. Do you know if they're over there for much longer? Yeah, that's a PB for 31:45.
I'm not sure. I know, aren't the On group over in Boulder at the moment? The Aussie On group.
If they're not there yet, they're on their way. I know.
Yeah, I saw a Instagram clip of Bucks over in Boulder.
And then they run another race. They run up at maybe Portland Track Classic, something like that. And then I think they head to Europe after that.
Cool.
Or some of them do anyway. Some are coming home.
I think Claudia comes home because she's got school.
Yep.
Got school.
What a life. How fun.
School. Listener question. So, Croaks, this kind of is what we just spoke about, but it's got a bit more depth to it.
Yeah, and it was also, this was the listener question that we were going to do the week that we recap London Marathon, but we had Andy on that week, so we skipped the listener question. But I still think it's a good one. It's, hi guys, a possible question for you to discuss. What can we do as a running community in Australia to encourage broadcasters to access rights to major marathon events globally? We've seen improved coverage of national level athletics events the last couple of years with 7+, but I feel that if we want to host a World Marathon major event in Australia, we need to take the sport more seriously at a global level too. And that's coming from Muggsy Adrian Reason.
Good one, Muggsy.
It's a good question. It is a good question. I like the idea of a major channel, or what do you call it, TV station, picking up the big marathons here. But I just wonder if anyone would watch it. Like, think about London. You're putting that on at 6 p.m. on a Sunday night. That's prime time, right? That's like high-value TV. Imagine what they're going to take off to put on the major marathon. Like, let's say they're taking off. Well, I don't know what's big now. Like, farmer wants a wife or married, some weird shit like to put on the London Marathon, where like 2.5 hours of people just running the same pace the whole way with very little commentary, really. It's not viewing. Like, put an Australian at the front. All right, you're probably hooking a lot of people in there, especially if we know their story.
But they've got more than one channel now, Moose. Like, when they put the nationals on, it's not on the main channel 7. It's like through the app, and there's like 10 different things streaming at the same time. That's what Ed said in the interview. It's like, why are we watching big swamp fishing repeats? Like, why can't we get like City to Surf on, for an hour or something like that?
Yeah,
but surely if World Athletics and the Diamond League, if they can make these events accessible via YouTube, why can't all of the other major marathons like just make it accessible to the public like, you know, Diamond League have now? Like I know when we first moved into our house in 2014, one of the first things I did was get Foxtel, because back then all of the major marathons were shown on like Eurosport. So you'd have like London, Berlin. I remember watching Fukuoka one December on the TV, and that is all gone now. Like there's basically no value for me having Foxtel anymore, because the whole reason I got it was to watch running events. I kept it because it had the Diamond League, and now Diamond League's gone from it as well. And I didn't watch London Marathon because, one, I don't have a Flow Track subscription, and like I would happily pay like, what is it, 100? Is it 100 US a year, Moose? For you?
It's like more than. Oh yeah, so it's about 150 Australian.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
A lot, right?
So I would happily pay that if, like, and I get it. If I was living in America and I was getting all of like the college meets and all of the major road races, I'd happily pay that. It'd be the equivalent of us in Australia getting Albert Park, Sydney 10, all, you know, the relays, a heap of track meets. I'd happily pay a subscription, but I'm not paying 150 Aussie dollars to watch one or two marathons a year, because the other stuff on that Flow Track I'm probably not going to watch. And so my other option then for London was like a VPN, and I'm just like, I'm just not bothered. I just couldn't be bothered going down that route of having to like get a VPN to watch something internationally. So I don't know. I'd just love for it to become accessible via YouTube or whatever. Yeah, because like surely if Diamond League can do it, like, because obviously the major marathons want to sell the rights to broadcasters. Is that how it works? So they can make money?
Yeah, like I know Christian's bought it before. You can buy it, like you can buy races.
Yeah.
What do you mean he's bought it?
Yeah, so he buys it and then he does the commentary over the top for the Norwegians.
Well, so he buys it, and then no one else in Norway is allowed to.
So we could buy it. So say like London Marathon is like available for, well, maybe not London because it's already going to Flow Track. But if there was a marathon, you could pay a fee to have it, to host it.
But see, that's the problem.
He does the commentary over the top of it.
Like, as you said, we can't buy London because Flow Track have it.
I assume, yeah. But I'm not sure if you put in an offer. Maybe Flow Track's the only one that wants it for Australia, and then no one wanted the Diamond League, so they just go, well, it just goes back to base YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I thought somebody would buy Diamond League across the world.
Foxtel's probably looked at their numbers and go, no one's watching this. Just one bloke in Canberra on Foxtel.
Yeah.
Let's cut it. Yeah. But maybe that's a bigger question. Why would one of those bigger networks in Australia buy it if they're not going to get the eyeballs on it?
Yeah, I don't have answers.
But you need to have the eyeballs on it to then get the, you know what I mean? Is it the chicken or the egg?
I'd actually be interested if somebody who listens to this show is across this sort of stuff, and could actually give us a rundown. Because I'd love to know now if the Diamond League are making less money by having this on YouTube versus at being on Foxtel in the past.
Yeah, someone smart, right in, can you? That'd be fantastic. Moose on the Loose, what's coming up? Moose on the Loose first.
Oh, well, you had your little crack. I liked it. So I'm backing that in.
Let's get courses certified.
Is that what you went at?
Yeah.
There was something else, I reckon.
No, that's what it was. Let's certify courses.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Archie Noakes can have his record.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give Archie Noakes his record.
You know what, though?
Can you do it afterwards?
10K. Maybe it's fucking 9. Maybe it's Sydney 10 vibes, and maybe he doesn't get the record if he has to run a full 10.
But yeah, maybe. Don't know. Can you do it after the event?
Oh, I don't know about that.
They'd have markings.
How do you know where the cones are at?
They'd have markings on the road and stuff, wouldn't they? How do they know where to put them in the first place?
But I think a world record, though, so obviously something like Berlin, it gets like certified and measured, but then if a world record gets broken, it gets remeasured after the fact to make sure that the record's legit, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. Not that they're going to, but yeah. Imagine breaking an Australian record. Who was it? Was it Logan Janetsky who was in the same race too, I reckon, but he did it at Launceston.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he
keeps the record because he did it on a certified course. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm letting you go at it. I'm happy with that.
Come on, Moose, give me something. Fire up something.
What have I been angry about here?
He's been very relaxed, hasn't he, Croaks?
Yeah, I've been
for a guy with a busted back.
I've been hitting the wine lately. Like I just come home, have a beer, have a wine, have another wine. Just got no drive.
Right, what's coming up? I did just look when the next Diamond League is. It's still 3 weeks away.
Yeah, it's a bit of a break, isn't it?
Why'd they fire off Doha so early?
Don't know.
Usually they're like back-to-back now, I thought, once they get rolling. But that's still a few weeks off. I don't know anything that's coming up, boys. Is Great Ocean Road next couple of weeks, Moose? Maybe. He's sending us messages, I reckon, Croaks, trying to get us some images. He's going offline.
No, I said a couple of weeks. I got this. I put you on mute occasionally because this fucking dog's dropping his bone. So I don't want you to hear that. I said May 22nd, get Toby's running the marathon. He's been told his rules are win it as easy as possible.
Just tempo it.
Win it as less than that if he doesn't. He's running
Sunday long run.
He's got if there's a bloke there next to him, then he's not going in front of that guy until 43.5k. That's his rules.
Oh, really? Even if he's running like 250 pace, like marathon pace?
That's the rules.
That's because Moose doesn't want him to run faster than what Moose has run there.
Yeah, my record's already...
Oh, no, Nico's got it, hasn't he?
No one cares about time there. All they care about is how many times you win it. Okay. That's the only discussion point down there.
What is on this week? Are there any events on this weekend that you know of?
Nah, AV cross country and Bendigo in 2 weeks. No, I don't know nothing for this weekend. Could be nothing to talk about next week.
I know there's the Sydney half marathon. Not this weekend, the following weekend.
Something's coming up in Noosa soon, isn't it? Noosa.
Oh, yep.
Maybe a couple of weeks away.
True.
There's that. There's a Sydney half marathon in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that one that said. Hoka. Yeah. Oh, is that what you said? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking and couldn't listen at the same time. All right, boys. What is coming up in your life, Croaks?
Pretty quiet. Just back into training.
Okay. Moose, what are you doing?
Getting better. Working. I'm working like a dog at the moment. I'm just like in there every day. New business, mate. Fuck.
Is working like a dog a saying? Don't dogs do stuff or work?
No, working dog. I got a working
dog. Yeah, gotcha.
I'm working like a dog, like a working dog.
Yeah, no, that's a saying, Brady.
Yeah, I always use the word dog as in like you're useless.
Yeah,
dog of a bloke.
Unlike your sayings, that one is correct, Brady.
You've heard
success makes cowards is not a saying.
You've heard of dog of a bloke before, though, haven't you?
Yeah, but I've also heard been working like a dog.
Well, I wouldn't want my mates who are dogs of a bloke to be working for me. Put it that way. Anyway, boys.
Interesting fact. So Viv for work tomorrow has tickets to go to watch the Budget. Did you even know that was a thing?
Does she work in like finance or something?
No, she works in like the electrical industry. So I guess it's like how the Budget will impact that industry. But
so you can buy
her boss bought tickets to take her and him to watch the Budget.
I thought that happened at night time.
Does.
Oh.
Do you know this sounds a little sus, I reckon.
Does she often have work meetings at night time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right. Take him in the Budget.
Viv, we're going to have words when I get offline.
Oh, boy.
All right,
Come
boys.
on.
We're finishing off. If I don't see you next week, boys, I might pop in between now and Gold Coast. Just phone me up 1 week if I'm not here for the next 7 weeks, just because I'll miss you two fellas, okay?
So people will basically now have to go to Patreon if they want to hear your weekly recap.
Yep, go over there, hear that, hear about my runs, hear about Ed Goddard's, and potentially hear about another fella. Also go over there to hear about Christian and Toby, and potentially something with Sinead and Ali. Heaps of stuff to lock in tomorrow, boys.
Sounds good.
Love how we had this conversation off air last week. The Moose wasn't there. Nothing's been done since then, but things are starting to get in motion now.
All right, well, miss you, Brady. All the best.
Yeah, phone me out 1 week. Just do that, like, ring a friend thing. Here's me just trying to stay relevant, boys. All right, fellas, catch us.
See ya. Have a good week.
See ya. Thanks to Peaks and Trails for sponsoring this week's podcast. a challenging but achievable trail event in Dunkeld with a distance for everyone, ranging from 6.4k, 13.5k, 20k, all the way to 50k ultra. And when combined with the Mud Dud Jug Challenge, you can enter to be the 2023 champion.
Try something new. Test your strength and enjoy the beautiful trails of Gary Word and at Peaks and Trails 2023.